Now, a confrontation with the man who has the power to get to the bottom of this mystery. This is Evening Express.
Happy Friday, good evening, and thanks for joining us on Evening Express. I'm Ryan Smith.
Happy Friday indeed. I'm Lynn Berry. Thanks for being with us tonight. And there have been some talks happening on day 11 of the partial government shutdown. The president and House Speaker John Boehner actually spoke on the phone today, but the only takeaway, according to Boehner's rep, let's keep talking.
And also, the House Republicans have an offer on the table to temporarily extend the nation's debt ceiling for up to 6 weeks. Now, there could be a vote on the plan as soon as this weekend. But the White House says President Obama has some concerns because the plan would not end the shutdown. So you may be wondering, if the debt ceiling deal doesn't reopen the government, why is it so important? Well, that's because the consequences of not raising the debt ceiling could be more severe. The country could run out of money to pay its debts and go into default. I know it's complicated, and we know that you have questions. And here on Evening Express, we like to say there's no such thing as a stupid question. We're going to bring you some help for all of your answers. I'm joined now by HLN contributor and professor of political science at Hiram College, Jason Johnson. And Jason, always good to see you.
Good to see you, Ryan.
Take a look at some of these, Jason. First up, Roberto on Facebook wants to know, are we always weeks away from going broke? Why would our government be broke after just a couple of weeks? How does this happen? And why is our system so delicate when we are the strongest nation on earth? Jason's got a lot of questions there. What do you think?
Well, because it's really expensive to run the strongest nation on earth. We have to pay foreign debts. We have to pay local debts. We have to pay contractors. We have to pay Social Security. And so there's this constant push and pull between the money we take in and the money we have to pay out. Our biggest expense is we're paying for a very expensive war overseas. So that's why we've been raising the debt ceiling. But historically, Obama hasn't raised the debt ceiling any more than George Bush or Bill Clinton or Ronald Reagan.
Good point. All right, Charlotte wants to know this, Jason. How many times can the debt ceiling be raised? And why has it been allowed to get so out of control? We're spending money that we don't have. And before you answer that, Jason, you know, there's so many questions about the debt ceiling. We've been seeing all this misinformation on social media. So let's separate some fact and fiction and weave in her question right there. For example, some people are saying if the debt ceiling isn't raised, we're going to be just fine. Is that true or false?
Oh, that's false. That's false. If we don't raise the debt ceiling, first off, we don't know everything that could happen, okay? Now, there's some people say, well, there's still some money in the Treasury. We could bounce them back and forth. Yeah, that's true. You could also drive to work on E and see if your car makes it. I wouldn't suggest that either. So what's really going to happen is we will not only default on some of our debts, but we won't necessarily have the money to pay the penalties that come from those debts. So a default is a dangerous thing. We've never done it. It's a risk that most Americans don't want to take.
Okay, and another thing we're seeing, Congress must decide to pay its creditors or Social Security. That's the question a lot of people are asking, Jason, that they have. It's either one or the other. Is that true or false?
That's only partially true. Congress would have that power, but we'd literally have to pass laws to make it happen. Think of your own bills at home where you have things on automatic deposit. You know, you pay your cable bill, you pay your power every single month. That's how the United States works. We owe hundreds of thousands of different contractors and business people and soldiers. It would be very hard for Congress to separate how to pay out Social Security and not pay out other things. So we would still have a problem. Congress doesn't have that power immediately.
Okay, one more for you. A lot of people are asking this question. If we don't raise the debt ceiling by October 17th, we go into full default immediately. That's something that's also spreading on social media. Is that true or false?
That is, again, only partially true. We're going to go into default on some things. There will simply be some bills that we cannot pay. And the risk is, while we may be able to cover, say, Social Security after October 17th, by the end of the month, we will have run out of money to pay some of our larger debts to foreign countries. And here's the way that the debt ceiling and the government shutdown come together. Because you've got so many IRS employees who are on furlough, we can't even collect the taxes that we need to pay off some of our debt. So that's why these two things are connected, and the president's trying to solve both problems at the same time.
I see. Now, I want to get back to Charlotte's question so we don't leave her hanging. She asked the question, how many times can you raise that debt ceiling, and why has this been allowed to get so out of control?
Well, there's two things with that. Number one, we can raise the debt ceiling as much as we want. We can raise it 100 times. We can raise it 30 times in a week. Usually the federal government tries to only raise the debt ceiling when we're running up against a limit. Now, has it really gotten out of control? Well, it's hard to tell. If you look at it historically, there have been times in the 1960s where we actually spent more money as a country. But right now, the United States, we have multiple wars. We have an aging baby boom and sort of greatest generation population that we have to pay for. So that's why our taxes have gone so high. Again, we haven't raised it any more than usual, but we do need to raise it from time to time to pay off the bills of just the people in this country.
All right, you've got the questions. Jason Johnson has the answers. Jason, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Ryan, all this week we've been talking to real